The room buzzed like a hornet's nest, tension and desperation thick in the air. Jacob Everett stood at the center of the UNS Intrepid's command center, surrounded by displays flashing alarming statistics about the approaching Zareth fleet. Strategists, leaders, and analysts were crammed together, voices rising in frustration over conflicting strategies. Maps of the stars scattered across the table projected what was left of humanity's territories, dwindling rapidly. "Captain Santos," Jacob called out, catching the attention of Lyra Santos, who was staring intently at the tactical screen. With her dark hair pulled back and her form clad in a crisp uniform, she was easy to spot amidst the chaos. "We need to talk." Lyra turned, skepticism etched on her brow. "Jacob, now isn't the time for idle chatter. We're minutes away from a potential engagement with an enemy that has already given us an ultimatum." "Trust me," Jacob said, stepping closer. "I have a real plan to propose. One that doesn't involve sending people into a slaughter." "It's the only option we have left," she replied, folding her arms. "What do you think we should do, send them flowers?" Jacob took a breath, glancing around the room before leading Lyra toward a quieter corner. "We can't keep escalating this. The Zareth have their own motives, and if we can understand them, we might find a way to avoid this conflict." "Understand them? You mean negotiate?" "They view us as inferior. They want our worlds, Jacob." Her frustration was palpable, matching the anxiety swirling in Jacob's chest. "I know," he insisted, his voice dropping lower. "But I believe that communication is key. We can't defeat them with aggression, they're too powerful. We need to approach this diplomatically." Lyra paused, her expression shifting slightly at his resolve. "You think they'll just listen to us because we ask nicely? I think there are factions among them, those tired of war. If we show a willingness to engage, we may find allies among them. We can negotiate terms for coexistence." She hesitated, still skeptical but intrigued. "And how do you plan to garner that interest?" "I get the feeling they appreciate strength and intellect. If we can present ourselves as more than just warriors, perhaps they'll take us seriously." The commanding officer, Admiral Riker, suddenly approached, his stern countenance weighing heavy in the air. "What's going on over here? We need reports, not idle chatter." Lyra straightened. "Jacob has a strategy that. It doesn't involve more arms and defenses, does it?" Riker interrupted, his glare harsh. "We don't have time for a philosophy class. We can't negotiate, only deter." "Admiral," Jacob interjected, swallowing hard. "I understand the impending threat, but we may not have anything left to deter if we lose everything in battle. What if we approach the Zareth with a proposal for peace?" "Peace?" Riker scoffed. "Do you have any idea how ridiculous that sounds?" "I do," Jacob replied, fighting against the spike of frustration. "But we are not dealing with brute foes. The Zareth have a rich history and culture. We need to acknowledge their complexity to survive." "Complexity?" Riker waved dismissively. "Do you even hear yourself? You're walking a fine line." "Everett," Lyra added quietly, her gaze flicking between the two men. "We risk painting you as naive." "I'm willing to take that risk," Jacob insisted. "If we don't try something new, we take a gamble on destruction. I'll even lead the delegation if it means mediating this conflict." "Do you seriously think you can just waltz in there and chat them up?" Riker challenged, raising an eyebrow. "Yes, I do. But I can't do it alone." Jacob looked directly at Lyra, hope in his eyes. "We need to craft a message that resonates. We need to show them who we are, what we really stand for." The room fell silent, intense deliberation flooding in. Lyra was the first to speak, slowly unfolding her arms. "I'll go with you. We need someone who understands interspecies protocols. And the last thing we need is miscommunication." "Commander Santos?" Riker's voice was incredulous. "You can't be serious. You're going to risk the life of a high-ranking officer on a whim? What if you're wrong? What if you all are?" Lyra shot back, the fire igniting in her resolve. "We're not here to win battles. We must learn to coexist, to survive. And this is our best shot. Jacob may have a better grasp of their culture and motives. Besides, having a military officer present may show we come in peace, not as aggressors." "Great. Just fantastic," Riker grumbled, pinching the bridge of his nose. "How do we even ensure they'll meet us?" Jacob grinned, hope finally breaking through. "We'll send a probe with our proposal. It assures a direct line of communication. They might be responsive if they can read our intentions clearly." "And what if they don't?" Riker folded his arms tightly again. You think they're just going to allow you across the stars for a cup of coffee? Jacob straightened, determination settling deeper within him. We have to try. If we wait, our choices will dwindle. Prepare the probe and we'll send it out with a message. I believe we can sway the tide before everyone is forced into war. Lyra stepped closer to Jacob, their shared determination forming a bond between them. We'll prepare for anything, Admiral. But if we don't pursue this opportunity, we'll regret it. Riker glared but nodded, making a gesture to the rest of the staff to resume their tasks. Get it done. But I want reports on all angles. As the others dispersed, Lyra looked at Jacob. You're really doing this, aren't you? I have to. We're better than this. It's not just about saving Earth. It's about standing for something greater. Lyra smiled, a glimmer of admiration sparking in her eyes. Then let's make sure we do it right. With fresh determination, Jacob and Lyra turned to the task at hand. Each moment brought them closer, threading the beginnings of a partnership that would challenge the galaxy's darkest days. Together, they faced uncertainty with purpose, defying the shadows looming outside. Chapter 2, Bridging Worlds. The hum of machinery faded into the background as Jacob and Lyra sat at the round table in the command briefing room. A holographic display of the Zareth homeworld filled the space between them, pulsating with swirling clouds and intricate land formations. The enormity of what they were about to embark on settled heavily around them. Looks like they have a centralized government system, Lyra said, her brow furrowing. We should focus our proposal on intergovernmental relations. Jacob nodded. Right, but we also need to appeal to their cultural values. They're not just an enemy, they're a civilization with rich traditions. If we can address their heritage, we might find common ground. Right, Lyra replied, scanning her data tablet. Here it says they value knowledge and history. Maybe we can highlight our own cultural achievements. Something to pique their interest. Solid idea. We'll craft our message to emphasize mutual respect, Jacob said, leaning closer to the hologram. What about sending a gift? A piece of Earth's art or an artifact? Lyra perked up. An artifact? Like what? Maybe a model of the Titanoboa, Jacob suggested, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. It's not just a cool creature, it's a symbol of Earth's history demonstrating our resilience. Resilience? Lyra raised an eyebrow, teasing him. You sure you don't mean aggression? You see what I did there? Clever, Jacob smiled, sharing her humor. We could also include writings from renowned humans, philosophers, scientists. Show them our intellectual side. You sound like a brochure. Check out our accomplishments, we mean no harm. Lyra chuckled, but the mirth faded slightly. What if they view the message as patronizing? Good point. We'll need to make it sound sincere, he responded. That's where you come in, Commander. You have a knack for reading people. I could observe their expression, but you would understand the nuance behind it. Lyra grinned, appreciative of his trust. Fine, I'll draft something. But you better impress them with your delivery or they'll be laughing their heads off. Jacob chuckled. Noted. I promise I'll channel my inner diplomat. Just then, Admiral Riker entered the room, his overbearing presence cutting through their light-hearted banter. I hope you two are working on something substantial. Time is not on our side. Admiral, Jacob began, we've made significant progress. Lyra is drafting a proposal that emphasizes our willingness to understand the Zaretha's culture. Culture? Riker scoffed, leaning against the wall. We need defenses, not niceties. Admiral, Lyra interjected, her voice firm. If we go in guns blazing, we won't stand a chance. They're technologically advanced and brute force has never worked. Our best chance is to build a bridge. For every bridge you want to build, I see a potential for ambush, Riker countered, but his gaze softened slightly. But I'll consider your approach. Thank you, sir, Jacob replied, relief flooding through him. We'll prepare to present this to the Zareth leadership. See that you do, Riker said, straightening. We're at the brink, and I'm trusting you both to either save us or condemn us. As he left, Jacob turned to Lyra, exhaling deeply. Well, that went better than I expected. Now we just need the Zareth to respond positively, she replied, scribbling notes. Let's see what we can make. The next few days passed in a whirlwind of planning and collaboration. Jacob and Lyra spent hours refining their message, debating over words, and ensuring they conveyed sincerity and respect. The more they worked together, the more they began to gel as a team. I think we should add a section about interstellar cooperation, Jacob suggested one afternoon, leaning over the table. Point out that this could lead to technological exchange. Lyra glanced at him, impressed. That's a fantastic addition. If they see a tangible benefit, they might be more inclined to listen. As they continued, occasionally stealing glances at each other, Jacob noticed how Lyra's eyes sparkled when she was passionate about an idea. It was captivating. "Sometimes I wonder how they'll react," he said, breaking the silence. "Will they see us as equal partners or mere ants to be squished?" Lyra tilted her head, contemplating. "It really depends on how we present ourselves. We have to stand firm without arrogance. Show them that we're willing to listen as much as we want them to listen to us." "Agreed," he replied, gazing at her. "This is about more than just survival. It's about forging relationships." "Relationships, huh?" Lyra teased, a playful smile tugging at her lips. "You sure you aren't getting too sentimental on me?" "Could be," Jacob admitted, chuckling. "But think how amazing it would be to start a new era of peace and cooperation among our species. Or totally fail and end up in chains," she flashed back, making him laugh harder. "Trust me, with you at my side, I feel like we could pull anything off. Even disarming a Zareth warrior with a witty comment." "Witty? You?" "Now that is a stretch." Lyra's laughter echoed through the otherwise quiet room, and she tried not to scrutinize the way he smiled at her. They worked late into the nights, sharing coffee and ideas, each moment drawing them closer. The unique environment of uncertainty and tension only heightened their connection. One evening, Jacob looked up from his tablet, feeling brave. "You know, Lyra, I couldn't have done this without you. I really appreciate your support." Her gaze softened and the air between them thickened. "I appreciate you too, Jacob. You've got a heart for this. A willingness to try when others wouldn't." Just as they were about to share a meaningful moment, a communication alert interrupted. Both turned, the holographic interface blinking with an incoming signal. "Here it is," Jacob said, his heart racing. "They're responding?" Lyra's excitement was palpable as she activated the display. The Zareth leader's image flickered into view. Unfathomably grand, adorned in intricate armor with patterns that shimmered like galaxies. "State your purpose," the Zareth leader commanded, its voice melodic yet imposing. Jacob exchanged a quick glance with Lyra, a silent affirmation passing between them. This was it. They were stepping into the unknown together, ready to face whatever came their way. He took a breath, knowing their fates hung in the balance. "Our purpose is peace," he said, stepping forward, ready to bridge the divide. Chapter 3: The Daring Proposal. As Jacob and Lyra stood before the holographic display, the Zareth leader's imposing figure loomed larger than life. Intricate patterns glimmered across its skin, shifting with every subtle movement. Though its features were unreadable, the weight of its gaze felt heavy. "State your purpose," the Zareth leader repeated, the air in the room thickening with tension. Jacob caught Lyra's eye, a silent message exchanging between them. This moment was critical. "Our purpose is peace," he declared, his voice steady. "We seek a dialogue to understand each other, not just as adversaries but as potential allies." "Peace?" the Zareth leader questioned, tilting its head slightly, revealing an interest tinged with skepticism. "Why should we pursue this? Your species has shown aggression." "Because aggression breeds only more aggression," Jacob replied, grounding his tone in sincerity. "We believe in cooperation and are willing to listen to your perspective. Our cultures have much to offer one another. The Earth is but a speck in the vastness of the galaxy. You lack the strength of the Zareth. Convince me why this should hold my attention," the leader challenged, its voice resonating like distant thunder. Lyra stepped forward, feeling the weight of the moment. "We may be a smaller power, but we possess knowledge that can advance both our civilizations. You value history and strength, and we come with stories that reveal our potential for mutual growth." "Mutual growth?" The leader's voice dripped with skepticism. "Or is it merely a guise to protect your fragile existence?" "It's not fragile," Jacob interjected, his heart racing. "Humanity has a history of innovation and survival. We've faced obstacles that would have toppled other civilizations. This could lead to a partnership that enriches us both." "You speak of partnerships. How would such a partnership manifest?" the Zareth leader asked, a glint of curiosity breaking through its predatory facade. Lyra exchanged another glance with Jacob, then took a step to the side, allowing Jacob to continue. "We propose cultural exchanges where both our peoples can share knowledge, technology, and art. We've brought artifacts from Earth that reflect who we are. What artifacts? The Zareth leader inquired, its curiosity piqued. Jacob gestured to a holographic representation of a titanoboa model, an extinct prehistoric snake displayed with intricate details. This represents one of Earth's largest creatures, showcasing our planet's history. It's a token of our past, just as your history is significant to you. The Zareth leader considered this, its expression shifting slightly. You think a mere image of a dead creature will sway my judgment? It's not just a creature. It symbolizes our understanding of survival against overwhelming odds. Jacob's heart raced as he spoke, hoping sincerity radiated through his words. It demonstrates the lessons we've learned, our growth as a civilization, and our respect for history. Lyra chimed in again, keen to support Jacob. We're also prepared to discuss technology that benefits our mutual goals. There are advancements we've made that could help address environmental issues, areas where we face challenges. Environmental issues, the Zareth leader reiterated, considering the words are not new. Your species has a tendency to destroy rather than preserve. How can I trust you? Jacob's stomach churned. I understand your hesitation. Humans have made mistakes. However, we've evolved, learned from those errors, and are now seeking constructive paths. A partnership with the Zareth could prevent future mistakes. The leader paused, contemplating their words. And should I send a delegation to your planet, what assurances do I have that you won't revert to your violent ways? Lyra took a breath, sensing an opportunity to provide clarity. We would establish a framework with mutual commitments to maintain peace and provide transparent communication. This way we can hold each other accountable. Transparency, a novel idea, the Zareth leader mused, the tension in the room ebbing slightly but not entirely dissipating. Do you have representatives willing to enter my domain? Jacob's heart raced. We'd send a team, and you can choose ambassadors of your own to meet us on neutral ground, somewhere where both our peoples can engage safely. Neutral ground, the leader echoed, considering. A reasonable proposition. Very well, I may entertain the thought. Jacob felt a wave of cautious optimism, but tempered it quickly. We would work out the details, including the parameters for our discussions, to ensure neutrality and safety for all involved. Your knowledge of negotiation intrigues me, the Zareth leader noted. You have spoken well, but there are still many details to finalize. Of course, Lyra replied, stepping forward with determination. But let's not wait. Time is of the essence, and we cannot afford to stall with potential conflict looming over our heads. Do you think time is your ally here? The Zareth leader responded, a challenge in its tone. You are not in control of the timeline, we are. Jacob rallied, feeling the stakes. Then let us prove that we are worthy of your attention. We will prepare all materials for your review and await your response. Working together, we can navigate this path toward peace. Consider my interest piqued, the leader replied, and for a moment, a hint of intrigue flickered in its flame-colored eyes. You may have bought yourself time. But remember, we will not tolerate betrayal. Understood, Jacob replied, nodding firmly. We will uphold our end, I promise. The Zareth leader straightened, its gaze fixing on both of them. You will receive my delegation. Failure to display respect will bring consequences. For now, I will depart to consider your proposal. Until then, be prepared. As the hologram flickered away, Jacob exhaled cautiously. That went better than I anticipated. Lyra turned to him, a smile breaking through her earlier tension. You were excellent. You held your ground against an intimidating presence. Thanks. I could say the same for you, Jacob admitted, warmth filling him as their eyes met. Your support made a difference. I still think you owe me a drink after this, she teased, an easy smile gracing her lips. A celebration of sorts? Deal, Jacob agreed, laughter escaping him. Let's hope there will be more cause for celebration in the future. Definitely, Lyra said, the connection between them deepening. But for now, we've got work to do. We need to prepare for their delegation more thoroughly. Agreed, Jacob replied, determination igniting once again. Let's brainstorm ideas on how to impress them further. We'll need to show them. Diplomatic alliance, but for something unmistakably deeper. Chapter 4. A shift in perspective. In the days that followed the meeting with the Zareth leader, the atmosphere aboard the UNS Intrepid shifted. What had begun as a tense standoff morphed into an opportunity for collaboration. Jacob and Lyra led their teams in preparing for the delegation, and excitement punctuated their every interaction. One afternoon, Lyra stood in the command center, meticulously arranging a display of Earth artifacts for the upcoming meeting. She glanced up to see Jacob entering, a stack of holographic documents in hand. Everything ready for your grand speech? She teased, a hint of a smile crossing her face. Jacob grinned, feigning a dramatic pose with the stack. I'm prepared to dazzle them with my charm and deep knowledge of human history. Just don't be surprised if they ask for an encore. You might want to tone down the theatrics, Lyra replied, shaking her head playfully. These are Zareth. They might take that overconfidence as a challenge. Good point. Jacob lowered the documents, looking more serious. We need to strike the right balance between showcasing our accomplishments and coming across as genuine. Right? Lyra said, leaning closer to him. We need to convey our willingness to learn from them, too. They're likely looking for a partnership, not a hierarchy. Exactly. If we can show them we respect their intelligence and culture, we might foster a real alliance. Jacob felt a rush of excitement. So, how about this? We emphasize shared knowledge in our presentation. Mutual benefits. Add a focus on technology sharing, Lyra suggested, nodding enthusiastically. If we position our advancements as resources for shared goals, it could resonate well. Great idea, Jacob replied, writing notes furiously. We should include specific examples of how collaboration in research could enhance both our worlds. Let's not forget to highlight our common challenges, Lyra added, eyes bright. Environmental issues, resource management, security. They might be more receptive if we demonstrate that we face similar struggles. Right on track, Jacob said, admiration evident in his voice. Let's craft those points into something powerful. And we should practice our delivery. If we nail our presentation, we make an even stronger case. Lyra smiled at his enthusiasm. I'll set up a mock meeting. We'll roleplay as if we're the Zareth delegation and see how we fare. Love it, Jacob replied, already feeling more energized. Let me prepare a sample script. I can take your tougher questions and you can play the skeptic. Deal, Lyra said, her gaze lingering on him for a moment. And just one more thing. We both need to be prepared for potential cultural differences. Jacob raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What do you mean? The Zareth might have their own way of communicating. Their concepts of time and relationships could be vastly different. We need to approach their questions carefully and respectfully. Good catch. Jacob nodded. We'll do some research on their social norms. The last thing we want is to inadvertently offend them. As the day turned to evening, their energy remained high. They sat down to practice their roles, covering points and debating nuances. Hours slipped away as they immersed themselves in preparation, their camaraderie growing with each exchanged banter and crack in the facade of professional decorum. Okay, here we go. I'm now Zareth leader, Jacob said, dramatically adopting a regal tone. What do you offer in terms of technological advancement? Excellent question, Lyra replied, adopting her best diplomat persona. We offer renewable energy technologies that could benefit both our societies while preserving your environment. Your people exploited their resources. Why would we trust you? Jacob pressed, honing in on the challenge. Because we've learned, Lyra responded, her expression becoming more earnest. We understand now the value of conservation and we come ready to share what works. Jacob dropped his stance, impressed. You're killing it. Seriously, that was convincing. Thanks. Let's do another round. You're up as the Zareth, she said, adopting fierce eyes. Remember to press for transparency. Jacob resumed his role and they continued, exchanging lines filled with tension and curiosity. Several scenarios later, Lyra stretched her arms. Okay, I think we're getting there. Agreed, he replied, still excited from their exchanges. But let's consider one more aspect, their reactions to our military presence. They might see our technologies as weapons. True, Lyra mused, tapping her chin thoughtfully. We need to assure them that our military isn't a threat. Maybe we could emphasize how military cooperation can enhance their security and cultural preservation. It doesn't have to be about dominance. Indeed, Lyra said, her focus sharpening. And we could mention how a united front could fend off common threats. It works both ways. Just then, Admiral Riker burst into the room, a frown etched across his brow. What's going on in here? You two plotting a coup? Admiral, Jacob exclaimed with a slight mock salutation. Just preparing a presentation to charm our Zareth friends. Riker leaned on the doorframe, crossing his arms. You really think you can win them over with charm? Lyra straightened, undeterred. It's about more than charm, Admiral. We're focusing on mutual interests and collaboration. If we present ourselves as partners rather than conquerors, we have a chance. Riker's eyebrow arched, clearly skeptical. And if they turn on you? You do understand the stakes, right? I do, Jacob replied, a steely determination in his voice. But we've analyzed their motives and we believe they want respect, not hostility. If that means negotiating on their terms, we're willing to do so. Negotiating on their terms? Riker repeated, his frown deepening. You think they'll perceive you as equals? You're still a human. Lyra shot Riker a fierce look. With respect, Admiral, that's the mindset we're fighting against. If we approach them with humility and recognition of their culture, we may surprise them and ourselves. Riker sighed, the tightness softening slightly. You've already put my nerves on edge and I don't need the pressure during such a volatile time. We'll do our best, Jacob assured him. But your support needs to extend beyond skepticism. We need resources and trust. All right, I'll give you that, Riker relented, his voice low. But remember, you're walking a tightrope here. One wrong move and it all goes up in flames. With renewed determination, they turned back to their tasks. As the hours rolled on, Jacob and Lyra worked tirelessly, reviewing their proposal, ensuring every detail was polished to perfection. Later that evening, exhausted yet satisfied, they shared a moment of respite. Jacob leaned back in his chair, the weight of the world seeming lighter, thanks to Lyra's steady presence. You know, he began, a playful glint in his eyes, against all odds, I think we might just pull this off. Lyra chuckled, stretching her arms. Don't jinx it just yet. We still have a long way to go. Jacob smiled, feeling an unexpected warmth. Whatever happens, I'm glad we're doing this together. She looked at him, sincerity washing over her. Me too, Jacob. Let's see what tomorrow brings. As they prepared for rest, their shared journey intertwined them further, setting the stage for the crucial next steps into the unknown. Chapter 5, Beyond the Horizon. The day had finally arrived. Jacob stood at the designated meeting point, a neutral zone established on the surface of an uninhabited moon. The air was heavy with anticipation. The barren landscape stretched for miles under a pale sky, white dust swirling at their feet. Lyra joined him, a determined expression on her face as she adjusted her uniform. Are you ready for this? She asked, glancing at the horizon where the Zareth delegation was expected to arrive. As ready as I'll ever be, Jacob replied, his heartbeat steady but quick. But seeing it in person makes it all feel a bit more real, doesn't it? It really does, she said, a mixture of excitement and nerves in her voice. Do you think they'll be receptive? They have to be, Jacob insisted. We've put a lot of thought into this presentation. We've shown them we value their culture and want collaboration. The low hum of a ship broke through the quiet as it descended onto the surface. Jacob and Lyra turned, watching his sleek Zareth craft touch down with remarkable grace, revealing a sleek, metallic design that gleamed in the diffuse light. We should proceed with caution, Lyra advised, her voice low. Remember, they're not just going to embrace us because we're friendly. Right, Jacob replied, his confidence resolute. Just stick to the plan. The door of the Zareth ship opened and a group of Zareth stepped out, their imposing forms adorned with intricately designed armor that shimmered like starlight. The leader, the same one they had met before, strode forward, its posture exuding authority. Humans, the leader greeted, its voice smooth yet commanding. You honor us with this meeting. Jacob cleared his throat, stepping forward. Thank you for coming. It is an honor to stand here before you. This is an intriguing choice of location, the leader noted, glancing around. Perhaps you felt it suitable to escape the prying eyes of your kind. More like a neutral ground, Lyra interjected, ready to lay out their intentions. Here, we can discuss matters in good faith, without distractions. The Zareth leader's gaze shifted from Lyra to Jacob, its eyes narrowing slightly. Then present your case. Nodding, Jacob gestured toward a flat surface that had been prepared for their presentation. Holographic images flickered to life, showcasing Earth's history, technology, and cultural symbols. We come not just as a species desperate for survival, but as one eager to share, Jacob began. These images represent our journey, our evolution, if you will. We've made mistakes, yes. But we've also learned. The Zareth delegation watched, their expressions unreadable, but an air of curiosity seemed to linger. This, Jacob continued, adjusting the display to focus on the Titanoboa artifact, is an example of an extinct species from our planet, showing our connection to history and survival. We want to invite you to share aspects of your history in return. One of the Zareth, shorter yet with a fierce demeanor, crossed its arms. Why should we share our history with you? Because we believe that shared knowledge can lead to mutual benefit, Lyra answered smoothly, stepping into the conversation. The challenges our worlds face, climate change, resource depletion, are issues we can tackle together. You speak of cooperation, the leader responded, its voice a mix of skepticism and interest. It is an appealing concept, but words are simply wind without actions. You're right, Jacob acknowledged, feeling the weight of their scrutiny. That's why we're proposing a framework where both our civilizations can engage in technology sharing. In return, we seek your insight into preserving your environment. The Zareth leader's interest appeared piqued, its gaze shifting toward the others in its delegation. You wish for us to teach you? Exactly, Jacob replied with fervor. And in exchange, we can show you advancements in areas like renewable energy which could benefit both our civilizations. The outcome can be greater security for both sides. Security? The fierce-looking Zareth echoed. How do I know you are not simply attempting to gain from us while we risk exposure? Let me put it this way, Jacob said, leaning forward. Operating in isolation makes both of us vulnerable. By working together, we build defenses, not just against external threats, but against apathy, ignorance, and misunderstanding. The Zareth leader turned to its compatriots, engaging in low murmurs, their sharp gazes fixed on Jacob and Lyra. Your words have merit, the leader stated after a moment. But trust is cultivated through actions, not merely promises. Show us your commitment, and we shall consider this partnership. Then let's establish a pilot program, Lyra suggested eagerly. A small initiative where both parties can interact and begin to exchange ideas. Start with cultural sessions where we learn these lessons firsthand. The fiercer Zareth snorted, dismissively. Culture is but a distraction. What of the tangible advancements? Culture is foundational, Jacob replied, meeting its challenging gaze. To understand one another fully, we must grasp the essence of how each civilization operates. Only through that understanding can we truly work together. The leader studied them, seemingly weighing the words as it considered the implications. Very well. We shall engage in this pilot program as a sign of goodwill. Thank you, Jacob said, relief flooding through him. We won't let you down. But, the leader interjected, it will also be our test of your intent. Any sign of deceit, and we will end this partnership. Understand? Absolutely, Lyra affirmed. We are committed to this. As they continued discussing specific details, Jacob felt the momentum building. His heart raced at the thought of the possibilities this new alliance could unlock. He turned to Lyra, a smile creeping on his face. She mirrored it back, an unspoken understanding settling between them. Hours passed like minutes, and eventually, they reached an agreement outlining the initial steps for their collaboration. Formalities completed, the Zareth group started to gather to return to their vessel. Your presentation was commendable, the Zareth leader said, pausing before turning away. But remember, this is merely the beginning. Jacob nodded. Thank you for this opportunity. We won't take it lightly. With that, the Zareth delegation departed, leaving Jacob and Lyra standing beneath the pale sky. The enormity of the moment washed over them. You did it. We did it, Lyra exclaimed, her voice brimming with excitement. They accepted. Feels like a really big first step, Jacob admitted, the exhilaration mixing with disbelief. I can't believe it actually happened. But it did happen, Lyra emphasized, her grin infectious. This could change everything. Imagine the cultural exchanges we could undertake. Jacob felt pride swell within him. And it's just the beginning. This is what we fought for, the chance to redefine our relationships across the galaxy. As they stood atop the barren landscape, possibilities stretched infinitely in every direction. The sky was dimming, but the promise of tomorrow shimmered brightly in their minds, weaving dreams and ambitions into a tangible reality. Together, they were ready to face whatever challenges awaited, igniting a journey that beckoned far beyond this moment.